Bantamweight bout, Victor Henry coming in at plus 400 against Javid Basharat, sitting at minus 600. Under 2.5 rounds, minus 260 for the over, plus 210 for the under. The undefeated Javid Basharat, 14-0, 28 years of age for him. Victor Henry, 36 years of age for him. And I mean, he's got a wealth of MMA experience. This will be his 30th fight on his professional career. Coming in as a big underdog, but Javid Basharat is looked at as one of the better prospects in the 135 division. He is 3-0 in the UFC, all wins by decision. His Contender Series fight back in 2021, he won in a round 3 guillotine choke. The way that he fights, super technical, super calculated, and you see that in a lot of his fights. I mean, he's not going to take too many risks. He will mix in the takedowns. On the feet, great jab, sticks and moves really nicely. And he's gotten a lot of finishes on the regional scene, but it seems like once he's got to the UFC, he's having trouble putting these guys away. And Victor Henry never been finished in his long professional career. So I'm sure Javid wants to come in here and get a finish because he hasn't in his last 3 fights. But it's going to be tough going up against Victor Henry, who's never been finished. So it might look a little bit closer than the odds entail, considering Victor Henry has looked fairly good in the UFC. I mean, he's coming off loss or back-to-back losses, I believe. But on the feet, I mean, he's got some pretty dang good striking, and he throws a lot of volume at you. He's coming off a win against Tony Gravely. Before that, he lost to Rafael Assunção. But the real weakness he's shown is getting taken down. So I would expect Javid to exploit that in this fight and probably, try to make it less subjective to the judges if it does go there. Because on the feet, Henry can put up 154 against Tony Gravely, 181 against Jaime Barcelos. Those were his 2 wins. The only fight that he lost, got taken down twice, and that striking was kind of just, thrown out the door because he was on his back. So I would expect Javid to take the fight to the ground and have some success there and find a win. But on the feet, it gets a little bit dicey. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Victor Henry, if he does keep it on the feet, this fight, odds-wise, is a lot closer. And even though, in his first 3 fights, he's been taken down 6 times, has Victor Henry. But he's still got an 80% takedown defense. And if you watch the fights, like, he gets taken down a few times, but he also stuffs a hell of a lot of takedowns too. Like, his takedown defense isn't necessarily bad when you really dive in and watch the tape. On the feet against Basharat, like, Basharat is so technical sometimes to where, he's not like really letting go, and you don't see these big flurries that, he throws up bunches and bunches of punches with. With Victor Henry, if he hits you one time and gets you a little wobbled or backs you up, he's not going to stop until you either shoot a takedown or you can crack him back to kind of stop him in his tracks. Like, this dude's volume is so impressive. Through 3 fights in the UFC, averages over 8.5 significant strikes per minute. Like, that's unheard of. You go look at other people's stats who have 3 fights in the UFC, you're not going to find many, if any, that have that many significant strikes landed per minute. And he hits him at a 54% clip. So he's throwing over 15, over 16 per minute, which is wild. And if he can do that and this fight stays on the feet, he might eat a few shots because of how slick Basharat's boxing is and how accurate he can be. But, overall, he's probably going to be the one landing more in this fight while it takes place standing. Makes it interesting. Like, I think he's going to get taken down a few times, but, in his back pocket is good jiu-jitsu. Victor Henry has good jiu-jitsu as well. I think it's going to make it tough for Basharat to submit him. I think it's going to give Victor Henry chances to, grab a hold of the neck to maybe possibly work back up to his feet. And on the feet's where he's going to do his best work. I think Javid should win this fight. Like, the odds, I don't like the odds whatsoever. If I'm just picking who wins the fight, I think Basharat is going to be more composed and technical. And he's seen this style before. He's got a lot of good experience on his record and should win. But, man, at big plus money, it's hard to pick against the guy who from start to finish is just going to be in your face, trying to hit you. It looks good to the judges and it makes it super interesting. So yeah, give me Javid, but I'm interested to see how this one actually plays out.
Yeah. You might, within the first couple minutes, get a better read on this one as far as where these guys stack up. Obviously, the odds are saying Basharat should smoke him on the feet. I don't feel great about that. But Basharat's brother Fareed was coming off 2 decisions and then went out there and submitted the guy in the first round. So Javid by sub might be a interesting take here, but Victor Henry, BJJ black belt, he's got some pretty good submission defense, never been finished. So in the real odds, this fight's probably going to go to a decision, and I'll take Basharat for the pick.